Okay. So let's kind of just start from the beginning. What you are a victim, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me what happened to you.
To me, I was one of the several robberies that they had committed, and I was going into my store in the morning to open the store, and I was working at Blockbuster at the time on Mississippi and Chambers. And I went to open the store, and I walked in, turned around, locked the door behind me, and turned off the alarm. As soon as I turned off the alarm and walked over to start checking stuff for the opening in the morning, I heard a really big bang, and it was really loud, and the whole storefront was all windows, so it was just floor to ceiling windows on it was the front store. And I kind of looked over but didn't see anything because of the big plates or the big steel arms that sit in the middle of each plate. It kind of cuts your vision off, and so I didn't see anything over there, but I knew that we were supposed to be getting the air conditioner for the work fixed that day, so I thought it was just people. It was loud enough, it sounded like someone putting an air conditioner on the roof and getting ready to install it. So I just didn't worry about it, and I kept on working and doing stuff up front. And then the next time I heard another really big boom, and I noticed the movies fell off of the wall that time, and when I turned and looked that way, I caught a glance of somebody backing up away from the window out of the corner of my eye, and right then I knew what was happening. So I looked over, and I saw him pick up one of the huge decorative rocks that they had out in front of the store, and he came running at the store and threw it through the window. And at that time, I had only seen one person. I hadn't seen two people at all. And as soon as that happened, I ducked down behind the registers and up in the management station, and I opened up the night drop box because I was hoping that it wasn't full. I was hoping it was kind of empty so I could just squeeze myself in there and close it, and it was full. And so the movie started falling out, and I closed it real quick and tried to sneak towards the front. And I got up towards the front by the register, and there is a security system there, so I hit the button to send the silent alarm to let them know that there was a robbery in progress. And as soon as I did that, that's when I heard or someone came up and grabbed me and grabbed onto me and started pushing me and telling me to move it, get moving. And
Who is this?
I do believe that was Rene Michael Lima-Marin that came up to the front of the store to get me. Mm-hmm. And so since I pushed the button and I thought I sent the silent alarm to the police department, I started to just try to work with them, but do it maybe a little bit slower, because since the police department's right down the street, I was hoping to give them a little bit of time just to get there fast. And so he started pushing me from behind and forcing me towards the office. And when I looked over at the office door, I noticed that it was closed. So I thought that he was the only person in the store, and I thought that the office door was closed, and I could run back there fast enough and put the code into the simplex lock and close the door, and then exit through the emergency exit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And
so let's try. We're only. Oh, go ahead.
That's fine.
Because we only have like a minute 15.
Okay.
I guess in a more concise version. So then once he was in the store, what happened?
Okay.
Without all the descriptive details, like what, in a nutshell, what happened?
Okay. And once he was in the store, and he came up and to the front of the store and got me, and was walking behind me, escorting me to the office. And I tried to run away from him, and I ran as fast as I could to the back door. And when I got to the door, I noticed it had been broken, and I didn't expect anybody else to be in the store. And I pushed the office door open, and that's when Michael Clifton was standing behind that office door with the rifle. And as soon as I ran up to that, he saw that Rene Lima-Marin was not behind me anymore, and he thought that I had done something or hurt him up at the front, and he put the gun to my head and cocked the gun, and then that's when Rene came running up behind me saying, no, I'm okay, don't shoot him. So he backed off and kind of, Rene grabbed me from the back and pushed me into the office and told me that they'll kill me if I try anything like that again. And so he pushed me into the office by the safe, and I went and I tried it the first time to unlock it, and I was just really nervous, so I messed up the combination. It's a digital lock, so I went to do it again, and Michael Clifton was mad that I messed it up the first time, so when I was doing it the second time, he hit me in the head with the barrel of the gun, and I slipped over and hit the wrong button again, and I had to turn around, and I turned around and told him, hey, if you do anything like that again, if I mess it up again, you guys won't get anything. It'll shut down and it'll lock for good, and whether you kill me or not, you won't get anything. And that's when Rene turned around to Michael Clifton and he said, quit it, nigga. And that's how I just knew that they were both black gentlemen at that time, because I don't think a white man's going to call a black man that, or vice versa, even out of respect. But that's how I came to the conclusion when I talked to the police, that I thought they were both black. But after he did that, I got the safe open and started, he said he wanted all of the money and everything, so I figured the fastest way to get it out of the safe was to grab it and start throwing it over my shoulders. So I was throwing free bills all over the office and over my shoulders. And Rene Lima got mad that time and grabbed me and turned me around on my knees and told me to F and stop. And then Michael Clifton had the gun to my head then, and he said, well, if we let you live, what do you want to see? And at that time I was married, and I had my stepdaughter, and I just said, the only thing I want is to see my daughter and my wife. And he said, well, if we let you live and you do what we tell you, then you'll be able to. And so he just basically kept me on my knees and made me look at the ground. And a little bit after that, I didn't hear any rambling in the office anymore, and I looked up and they were gone. And when I noticed they were gone, I jumped up and grabbed the phone out of the office and ran towards the front of the store. And
what did Rene specifically during this whole ordeal? I mean, did he say? I mean, you looked him in the eyes, right?
Yeah.
Did he ever say anything to you?
No, he was just basically telling me what he wanted done, and he was, being aggressive because I was doing things that he just really didn't like, and in the situation, just because I was trying to delay him a little bit. And
did he have a gun?
The only gun I saw was the rifle. So if he had a handgun, yes. Okay. If he had a handgun or anything, he might have had it on him, but I did not see a gun.
And how? I mean, this was how long ago?
In 1998.
So this has been almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's still, obviously you still get emotional about it. How has this affected your life?
Well, it's affected my life quite badly, because I quit that job because I found out that both of the guys that robbed me were managers of the Blockbuster right down the street from me. And then there was Blockbuster's district manager had lied to me about the security system that I was trying to delay so that they could bring the cops in, and I found out, he told me later, that he lied to me about the security system, and that's not a silent alarm. And so I had a very, very bad time trusting anybody to work with or work for. I didn't trust what the managers would say. I didn't trust what their uppers would say because I was lied to by mine, and 2 managers robbed my store. And so it was really hard for me to get a job after that and stuff, because I just kept getting in trouble because I just wasn't listening and doing what I should have. But I just it was very difficult, and I still have nightmares about it and things of that nature and stuff. So
yeah, so tell me, I mean, how did this, I mean, aside from the work angle, I mean, 20 years is a long time, but like emotionally, how did this affect you?
It did a lot of damage. It was very rough for me, and who's my now ex-wife, and my daughter, because I was having a very difficult time with it. And what everybody doesn't understand is that all of the victims involved in this, their families are just as much of a victim as we are, because it hurts everybody. It doesn't hurt just us. It hurts the entire family and everybody else that's around them. And what is going on is just kind of ridiculous for me to.
And so do you feel like, were you traumatized by this?
Yeah. I am very, very touchy about people that I come around or let around me at all. I'm very, very protective of my family and my friends. I watch everybody different. And
you said you still have nightmares?
Yeah, I still have nightmares about it, and I still wake up from it, so. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have them. He doesn't mind, It's the thing he did. He's not going to, be traumatized for the rest of his life for it.
So, Friday, the governor pardoned these essentially the crimes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your reaction when you heard about it?
When I found out that he was pardoned, I was very upset due to the fact that none of the victims of these crimes that he had committed, none of them were involved. Nobody came to us and said, hey, we as a state or whatever, we made a mistake with this, and we need to talk to you guys and figure out, and get your guys' side of the story, instead of just listening to Rene Lima-Marin's family and him and whining about how he should be free because he was good for 6 years out of prison. He didn't do anything. And if, at first I felt the same way, because if the state made that mistake, then I'm sorry, that's their mistake, and he should be that, go ahead and be freed. But when I looked and read it a little bit deeper and found out how it went through, and it seems a lot more like he was playing it off because he knew that he was going to get out. It wasn't something that just came up and it was an accident or a mistake that he was very lucky to get, and he had planned it the whole time, and that's why he was so good in prison the whole time, because that way they wouldn't look at his records or anything like that and find the mistakes. So he stays good for all of those 8 years that he's in there, and then they let him out, and then he's got, again, his 50-50 chance, his 50-50 second chance, that if they ever catch it, he knows he's going back. Well, he knew that when he took his chance to get that, and now they caught it and they're taking him back, and now he knew that was going to happen. He knew that they would figure it out later on down the line, and now he just thinks that he shouldn't have to pay for it. But it was something that he knew about the whole time. So the whole time he was in there playing like he was this good guy and had found God and everything, he's keeping alive from people and playing games and deceiving the law the whole time. And and I just don't understand how, you know, he sits there and says those things, but the whole time he deceived the system and lied to people and everything else all the way through it.
Do you believe that he, you know, recreated his, I mean, when he got out and had those 6 years and was a free man, I mean, do you believe that he is a different person today?
Actually, no. I think what he did is, I think he did the same thing as he did in jail. He knew that someday they were going to go ahead and catch him. And so he went ahead and started doing everything great and good and doing the same thing like he did in jail, where no one looked at his record or nothing like that. So when time came where they did catch him, they would do exactly what they did. They look at it and say, oh, you've been so good, you haven't done anything. And then that way it gives them something to fight with, so when they did try to put him back in jail. So I just believe the whole thing has been played off from the time that they found out about that mistake in his paperwork, from that time until now. I think it's been all of him just playing it so that way he doesn't go in and spend 98 years in jail or his full term, you know.
And do you, I mean, knowing what happened to you and knowing what happened to the other victims, do you feel like, I mean, does he deserve a second chance?
At first, I before I found out what happened with the court papers and how he was being deceptive, I figured that he did deserve a second chance, because I figure everybody deserves a second chance, and he was young when it happened. But and like I said, I figured that if it was the state's fault, then yes, he should get his second chance. He proved to everybody, because he never thought he was going to get this chance in the first place, and then he proved to everybody that he did good. And, you know, yeah, he should, is what I thought at first. And then I found out that everything through his whole jail term was deceptive all the way through, and I don't believe he deserves the second chance, because he was still illegal and committing a crime the whole time he was in jail. He was in jail committing a crime the whole time. So I can't really say that, you know, I think that he doesn't deserve a second chance. I think that what he did to attempt to get his second chance was done wrong, and he knew that he could get caught for it. So again, you need to go ahead and, you know, do your time. You got caught. And
so do you? That was my next question. I mean, do you think that he should be in prison?
I think that he should still spend time in prison. I'm not sure that I really agree to anything of that many years is what is on there. Possibly lowering the years that he's in, but I still think he does need to do that time.
And now that he's in the custody of ICE, because we know that he was moved here when he was 1 from Cuba, I mean, do you think, I mean, the other alternative would be that he is deported.
Yeah.
Obviously has started a family, has kids, has a wife. When you weigh those things, I mean, do you think that it would be fair for him to be deported?
Well, I look at that this way also. When they came over on the refugee boat and things of that nature, and when the mother and the father got their papers and everything and their citizenships and stuff like that, that they knew, and so did Rene, knew that he would have to get that citizenships paper and stuff like that. He knew he needed them. And again, that's just another thing that I look at, that he has been, you know, from 1 until what's his age now, and he has been the whole time deceptive and things like that to the law all the time, because he never even got his citizenships, you know, and for that, I can't say. Whatever happens with that would be in his hands. He had so many years, and he knew that he didn't have it, and his parents even knew it, you know, and and he had so much of an opportunity to get it. Well, I'm sorry, your opportunities are over because now they caught up with you. And it's just the same thing. You take that chance, and he got caught again with something else. And if he gets deported, then that's fault of his own for not caring about himself enough to keep him safe in this, and keep him here.
Do you feel bad? I mean, when he got out, he got married, he had kids. I mean, you have kids.
Yeah.
Do you feel bad for what they're going through?
I feel terrible for the kids. They are the ones that are going to be absolutely the most affected by this, because he had those children. I do believe one of his sons, when he was out with his wife, and when he had gotten out of jail. So that child knows nothing about his past or what he is, except for the really good guy that he had been that whole 6 years. And it's going to just tear his kids apart. And that was one of the reasons when I very first found out what was going on. That was my biggest reason of saying yes, give him a second chance. And because of the children, and because of how it's going to affect them more than anybody.
Yeah.
And
what I mean, knowing that the DA's office, both the governor and the DA's office, did not reach out to you during the application for, there was never an application for a pardon that was turned in, but throughout any of this process, like after the hearings and while they were deciding to do the pardon, I mean, the victims were never contacted about.
No, nobody was. Well, as far as myself, I was not. I can't say any of the other victims. I'm not in contact with them, so I don't know if they were reached out but the governor's office, no representative of that. The DA never called me. There was nothing like that. It seemed more like they were just, the governor and the DA were more like, oh my goodness, this is just a mess. Just sign it and get it out of here. Don't worry. Don't talk to anybody else. Don't worry about the victims or how they feel or what they care about. We'll just listen to these guys, go and complain, and that way we'll just sign it and get it out of here, and that complaint's out, And it just, like, he just threw it off his table without talking to anybody, and...
Do you feel like the governor overlooked the victims?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely what he did. And I feel like that is a terrible thing to do as, someone that's supposed to represent the people in this state. And he is taking the people that actually were victimized by this and not caring at all about what they say, and just wanting to get this stuff off his desk and move on to the next thing, and didn't care about anything. And so, if you could,
if you had anything to say, what would you want? I mean, because this is kind of an opportunity to do that, to have your voice heard. What do you want the governor, who essentially, pardoned him, what do you want him to know? I mean, since he didn't ask, what do you want him to know?
I just want him to know that, the victim's voice does matter, and what happens to us, I understand that the state made the mistake. Yes, it is their job to fix it,